Hello everyone, I'm Michelle Smith and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, then welcome. I'm so glad you found me. I have a Dollar Tree Halloween DIY for you today. In today's crafting adventure, I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful come in for a spell Halloween wreath. All of the materials I used to make this Halloween wreath came from Dollar Tree. I had so much fun putting all the elements together to create this beautiful wreath. Let me show you how to make it. To get started, you're going to need an 18-inch wreath form, and then you're going to need 4 rolls of orange deco mesh, 4 rolls of the purple, and 4 of the black. You'll also need a package of pipe cleaners cut in half. I've gone ahead and unwrapped my deco mesh. Now I'm using an 18-inch wreath form because the sign that I'm using is rather large. If all you can find is a 14-inch wreath form, you can use that as well. We're going to be doing the poof method today. This is my favorite way to use the Dollar Tree mesh because you don't have to cut it. I also like it because you can use multiple colors at one time, and that's what we're going to do today. When I use multiple rolls, I like to put one out on either side of my body. That helps so that they don't tangle with each other as I work with them. And if I do a third color, I usually leave the third color here on the desk. So take all of the ends and scrunch them together. Now you don't want to layer it because that will make it more difficult to separate your loops when you go to fluff out your wreath. So put them side by side. Take a pipe cleaner and wrap it around the end. Make sure you get that nice and tight. You don't want them pulling out. And give it a good twist or two. Okay. And then to get started here on your wreath, you want to make sure to attach it here at a crossbar. That way it won't slide as you pull each of your loops or each of your poofs. Now, if you have a wreath form that has the 4 rings, you want to attach it to the 2 rings in the middle. This one only has 3 rings, so I'm attaching it to the center ring. So I have that nice and secure. Now you want to take those ends and push those to the back. To help keep those back there, I feed it back through those 2 pipe cleaners and give it another twist or 2 to keep it down. Then fold your little ends back up. Now if you have a lot of deco mesh there, you can trim it down, but you need to leave about 1 inch so it doesn't pull back through. You're also going to need a ruler. So when you start to measure, you want to grab all 3 colors of your mesh. You place where you attached it last, and that's where you start to measure. And I'm going to measure, let's see, at 8 inches. So pull to 8 inches, pinch, wrap your pipe cleaner, get that nice and tight and give it a twist or 2. And then you're going to attach it to the single bar in the middle. And then I I always push my pipe cleaners back forward. It keeps the back clean, and you won't be able to see them once you get all of your poofs in. Okay, so you push that over, and then you go again. For your convenience, in the description box below, I've included a detailed list of all the tools and materials I used to make the Halloween wreath. And push over. Okay, now before you get them fluffed out, that's what they look like. Don't worry, once you fluff it out, it gets much bigger and much prettier. And you will put about 9 to 10 poofs in between each section, and each section is in between the two crossbars. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and work on the base. I'm going to get a couple sections done, and then I'll come back and show you what it's looking like. I have 2 sections done, and I have it all poofed out. Now to poof this out, you just go in and separate each of the colors, and then go in and open up the mesh so that you can see each of the poofs. That makes it so pretty. And then as you're doing it, you just want to mix the colors so that you don't end up with a stripe of one color. And you can see here in the back. Now, the first section took 10 and the second section took 9. So anywhere between 9 and 10 poofs per section. Now this wreath has 8 sections, and 1 roll of each color covered 2 sections. So you will need 4 of each color to cover this wreath. If you are doing a 14-inch wreath, then you only need 3 of each color. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and finish my base, and then I'll come back and we will decorate. And there you go. My base is all done. I'm very pleased with how it turned out. I love how all the colors mix together and how full and fluffy the wreath looks. Now to recap, this took 4 rolls of each color to cover the base of an 18-inch wreath form. Go ahead and set this aside. Now I picked up these cute little wooden DIY ornaments from Dollar Tree. They come in a package of 5, and I'm going to be using 2 of the black cats. Now they have several different ones to choose from. So anything that is related, black cat, or they also have a witch's hat, or you can also do the jack-o'-lantern. So whatever you can find, and you'll need 2. I'm going to be doing the black cats. So I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to paint them a solid color, and I'm going to use the Craft Wise chalkboard paint that I picked up from Dollar Tree. And then right around the edges, I'm going to brush kind of like you would antique, so do a dry brush with this really pretty violet pansy, and this is folk art. I don't want to get too detailed on these, they're just an accent piece, but I want them to have the same colors. So the black so it stands out, and then the purple to make it blend in. If you enjoy hauls, craft tutorials, and learning new craft techniques, please consider subscribing to my channel. I do upload new content every week. And if you hit the notification bell when it pops up, you'll be the first to know every time I upload new content. You want to let these completely dry before we move on to the next step. My black cats are nice and dry, so I've put out a little bit of the folk art violet pansy, and I have my favorite rough brush here. Now to do the dry brushing, you want a very dry brush, and honestly, if it's kind of has dried paint in it and it's uneven, that's the way to go, because you just need a very small amount of paint. Dab it in there, dab off any excess. And then I'm just going to go through and kind of pull out all the way around the edges. I just want to add a little glow of that purple all the way around my kitty. So add as much as you like. Okay, so go ahead and get your little purple in there and then let your kitties fully dry. We're going to work on our ribbon bundles now. You'll need to cut 6 pieces of this ribbon at 11 inches. I thought this was so pretty, and I really love the witch hat. It ties in with the sign, and I really like that it has all the different colors for Halloween. That lime green, the orange, the purple, the black. Really like this ribbon. And then you'll need to cut 4 pieces of this ribbon at 11 inches. And then I had just enough ribbon to do 2 pieces of this one. Now all of these ribbons I picked up from Dollar Tree during Halloween. This I got probably a year or 2 ago, and I think this one I also got a year or 2 ago. I know for sure they still have this one. So whatever combination of Halloween ribbon you can find. I wanted to add just a little bit more purple, so that's why I'm adding just the 2 pieces I have of this ribbon to add just that kick of a little bit more purple. So I have 2 strips of this at 11 inches, 4 strips of this one at 11 inches, and 6 strips of this one at 11 inches. Now when I do my bow, I'm going to be using these 2 ribbons and then this really pretty small glittery lacy ribbon that I found at Dollar Tree. I really like this. I've used this on a previous Halloween wreath, and it is slightly trimmed in black. And this is 5/8 of an inch at 9 feet. So this will add that little bit of extra purple that I need when I do my bow. I have all my ribbon cut at 11 inches, and now I'm going to do a slight dovetail. I usually cut 2 at a time, so I line them up and I line the ends up. Fold it in half. And now I don't want a strong dovetail, so I'm only going to come up about a 1/2 inch and cut down to the end. And that gives me a really pretty dovetail. Now we're going to have 2 different bundles. Now I only have 2 pieces of this. When I use this ribbon, this is going to go on top. So I'll put these 2 together. I like to fold them up so I can find the center and then scrunch in. Half a pipe cleaner around the center. Pull it nice and snug and twist. Now your pipe cleaners are what you're going to use to attach your ribbon bundles. And then I just kind of split them so they kind of crisscross each other like that. Then on this one, the orange is going to go in the back. So you should have 4 bundles like this and 2 bundles like this, or however you make your ribbon bundles. But you need a total of 6. Now we're going to work on our bow, and today I'm using the Deluxe Easy Bow Maker. I really like this tool. I have arthritis in my hands and sometimes it's difficult for me to hold a bow, so this makes it much easier for me. Now to start on my bow, I cut 1 piece of each of the 2.5 inch ribbons at 11 inches. And then I cut 2 pieces of the small ribbon. Isn't that pretty? Look at how sheer and sparkly. I cut 2 pieces of this one at 12 inches. I cut it a little bit longer because it's smaller. I'm going to find the center of my ribbon here and place them inside the Easy Bow Maker. Just do your best to get it in the center. Now these are just going to be some extra tails on this bow. Now this pretty purple ribbon does have a pretty side and a not pretty side, so make sure that your pretty side is facing up on this. Okay, so I have my extra tails in, and now I'm going to start on my bow part. I'm going to start with this ribbon. Okay, and on these tails I'm going to measure at 8 inches, pinch and slide in. I have my 8-inch tail. And then when you come through, because this ribbon is good on one side, you need to twist for your bow part so that the nice side is facing down. And then I'm going to measure my loops at 5 inches. And I'm going to do 2 loops at 5 inches with this ribbon on either side. Okay, once you have your 2 loops in, you want to measure out your ribbon and cut your 8-inch tail. Now I'm going to add in a couple more strips, but this time I want them at 16 inches. I'm just going to measure at 16 inches and cut 2 more strips of the purple. Make sure the pretty side is facing up. And now I'm going to move to this. I really like this. I love all those pretty bright colors. Again, measure your tail at 8 inches. When the ribbon comes through, make sure to twist so that the nice side is facing down. Now on these loops, I'm going to measure at 4 inches. And again, I'm going to do 2 loops on either side. Now I lucked out on that. It turned out to be just about the right length. Now I have a small piece of this left, so I want to add 1 more bow to the top here. And I'm just going to fold the 2 ends over each other by about 1 inch. Press it down so I can find my center, and I'm going to squish that together and slide that down. And I do have 1 tiny small piece of this ribbon left, which I'm going to use to wrap around the center once I get my bow together. Actually, before I add that, I'm going to add some more of the purple. So this time I'm going to measure my tail. I'm going to make a 4-inch loop. Okay, then let's put this guy on top. You will need a full-length pipe cleaner. Okay, so I have all my ribbons stacked. At this point, you want to go in and just double check your loops, make sure everything looks right, that it's all even. If you want at this point too, you can also start to pull down some of your tails. Now I usually don't like to cut the ends of my tails until I get it on my wreath. So I'm not going to do that until I get the bow on my wreath, because sometimes I want them all different lengths, sometimes I want them the same, it all depends. Okay, on my tails I have a lot, and there's a reason, because I'm not going to have them just come down on the bottom. I want them to kind of stick out in different directions around the base of the bow. Okay, once you're happy with everything, go ahead and lift up. Take your pipe cleaner, put it underneath on one side, wrap it up to the top, and then kind of give it a nice tight squeeze. Then you can pull it off. Pull real tight. This helps to keep your bow stacked properly. Pull real tight and pull that to the back. Get that as snug as you can and give it a good twist. Now these pipe cleaners aren't going to be long enough for me to secure the bow, so I'm going to add another pipe cleaner. And I just put that in the center and give a good twist. And then I take those and I just wrap them around the longer pipe cleaner. That looks nice and clean. And then another trick that I found when I placed my bow, because the deco mesh is so deep and I don't want my bow to be pulled and sink down, what you can do is twist the two together so that they're twisted together by about 2 to 3 inches, and then feed that through the deco mesh. That way this part that's twisted together will allow your bow to sit up on top of the mesh rather than getting pulled down into the mesh. And then you can use the bottom ends to attach it to the wreath. But before I do that, I need to wrap my center here. So now we're going to add a little piece right here. This is 5 inches in length. You just want to turn it over and do a tri-fold. Just use a small amount of hot glue to keep that down. Makes it a little easier for me to work with. Then fold the other side over. So it's all nice and tacked down. Then on the back, you just want to make sure your pipe cleaners and your tails are separated so that they're on the correct side. And then I'm just going to wrap this right around the center and tack it down in the back. Once you get one side tacked down, then you want to look and see how tight you want to do that center. Because if you pull it too tight, it'll look funny. If you leave it too loose, it'll look funny. So just kind of play with it until it looks the way that you want it to. So I like it like that, kind of in the middle, not too tight, not too loose. Go ahead and tack it down. I really like this tool. This is the Betty Crocker Scraper Spatula. You can pick this up at Dollar Tree in the kitchen section. It is 100% silicone, so it works great when you're hot gluing so you don't burn yourself. If any glue gets on it, once it dries, it just wipes off. If you have extra ribbon, go ahead and trim that off. I think that looks really cute. So the long tails get pulled down, and then the shorter tails you can separate and fill in amongst your loops once you start fluffing out your loops. So you have the long ones that'll come down and then some others that'll stick out behind the loops. And then just separate out your loops. I always do my final fluffing once I get my bow onto my wreath. And I just kind of want to get the general shape. Oh, and that's what your bow should look like. Go ahead and set this aside. This is the sign that I'm going to be using. I absolutely love it. I like that it's simplistic, but very cool. Come in for a spell. How awesome is that? Okay, so you just want to go ahead and remove the jute cord hanger on this guy. Now to hang this on our sign, we're going to be using some floral wire. And I like silver because on anything light like this, it just will disappear and not stand out. So pull out 2 pieces at about 10 inches. So then you take it, you feed it through the hole, and then the other goes over the top. Pull to the back, make sure you got it nice and even. Pull down nice and snug and give a twist. Okay, so then that gives you what you need to attach it to your wreath. You'll do the same thing to this side. Okay, so I have my floral wire strung through the 2 holes at the top of the sign where the jute cord was. I've also added 2 pipe cleaners here at the bottom. Now the reason why I like to use both floral wire and pipe cleaners to attach my sign is if anything happens, if the temperature gets too hot or it gets too cold or maybe it gets too moist, the hot glue may fail because this is a heavy sign. So this way I'm guaranteed that that sign is not going to fall off if I'm using a combination of both. You want to let your hot glue fully set up before we attach the sign to our wreath. Now my little black cats are all done. I think they look really pretty. I had to go over with the purple about 3 times to get it dark enough so that you could actually see it on the black. Now through the hole here where the ornament would hang, I went ahead and ran some more floral wire. This is what I'm going to use to attach it to the wreath. And then once I get it attached and placed, I'm going to use some hot glue on the back to keep it in the correct position on the wreath. So I did that to both of my kitties, and I'm really happy with how they came out. I love the glow of purple around the black cat. Now here on the back, I wanted to show you at the crossbar right here. I went ahead and added half a pipe cleaner, and tied it on and made a loop. This is what I'm going to use to hang it. That tells me where the top of my wreath is. And now I want to place my sign. And I like my signs to sit right up on top of my mesh. I want them to really stand out. So that's where I'm going to put this guy. I'm going to bring him down just a little bit because I want to put my bow right up here in this corner. And I want to make sure it doesn't cover too much of my sign. I want to be able to see what it says. So I'm going to lower it just a little bit. And then all you need to do is take the floral wire or the pipe cleaners and you separate your mesh, feed them down through the mesh until you hit the wreath frame in the back, and then you attach it to the wreath frame. Now, when I first initially attach it, I don't tie it down very tight, just enough to hold it in place, because that way I can kind of move it side to side, back and forth, until I get it exactly where I want it, and then I'll go back and tighten that down. I have my sign on. I'm really happy with its placement. It did take me a little while to get it right where I needed it. But now I'm going to place my bow. Now on the back, what you do is you take the pipe cleaners and you pull them together and you twist them. And you want to do that for about 2 inches there for those pipe cleaners. So you only have those little ends sticking out. works really well when you're attaching your bow so it doesn't get pulled down into the wreath. And then I decided I'm going to move it a little bit to the side here. So kind of like that. To attach it, you do the same thing. You feed it through the deco mesh down to the frame in the back and attach it to the frame. I'm also going to go ahead and add in my ribbon bundles. I'm just going to mix them up and evenly place them throughout the wreath. I have all my ribbon and my bow in. I'm really happy with that. I also went ahead and added the two cats. I have one on this side and I have one up here on this side. Go ahead and set this aside. Now I'm going to add some more adornments. I found these really cute little witch legs. I believe it was last year or maybe the year before at Dollar Tree. I'm also going to add some black bats. I have a package left over that has two and another new one. I'm also going to add some of these really cute witches brooms. Because the sign has a witch broom on it, I thought this was quite fitting to add. I also have these really pretty decorative pumpkins. You get 4 in a pack. They're purple and they have a little bit of fold on them. And then I'm not sure if I'm going to use these or not. I've had these in my stash for a while, so I pulled out a package. You get 3 witch hats and 1 in each color. And the last item are these really pretty large purple spiders. Now you can get these spiders in several different colors. They usually have green, orange, and purple. And I like purple, so I went for the purple guys. I'm going to add my little legs, and I want them diagonally across from my big bow up here. And I'm going to stick them, I want them to stick out kind of here at the bottom. So I'm just going to hot glue them in so that they stick out like that. I did cut the stick down so it's about 4 inches in length. And just like you would do a floral, just add some hot glue to the end there. Go ahead and feed it into the wreath where you want it, and then you just need to hold it for a minute until they set. Doesn't that look cute? Okay, I'm going to go in and add in the last few pieces of my decor, and then I'll come back and show you the finished product. And there you go, we are all done. I am very pleased with the end result. I have the little witch's feet hanging out, all my pretty little decor, my pumpkins, my black cat, the ribbons, the spider, the bats. I'm very pleased with how this turned out. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's craft. If you did, please give me a big thumbs up and show me some love in the comments. This really does help out my channel. Thanks again for stopping by. You know it's always a pleasure to see you. If you enjoy hauls and craft tutorials, make sure to check these out. You have a great day, and I'll see you next time.